This is how we build $10,000 AI sales systems. The system I'm going to walk you through today answers calls, sends text messages, emails, chats with your users on your website or Instagram and Facebook, and even makes outbound calls to your leads for you, all done automatically. So we will go over how to set this up using VAPI for the AI phone agent, N8N for the backend automations that power pretty much everything, and how we deploy across every major communication channel a business might need. So you do not need a massive team anymore to manage all of this. AI and automation handle it all for you faster and at a fraction of the cost. The point of these systems is pretty simple: to book more qualified appointments, follow up instantly and consistently, and help businesses save hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars every month. So if you are serious about scaling smarter, then let's go ahead and dive in. So what I want to quickly do is showcase you guys a quick demo before we actually dive into the tutorial. So within this demo, we're going to be employing a similar strategy to what a lot of our clients actually do, and the most common use case for implementing this system. So within this, we just have a simple form. So you can imagine whether you're running Facebook ads or if you just have an opt-in onto your website, well, that opt-in is eventually going to try to get them to reach some sort of end result, usually being booking a call or maybe trying to get them to buy a product or schedule a demo. So we're going to fill out this form, and if the lead doesn't book an appointment, we're going to be calling them, asking them if they have any questions, any concerns, or anything like that. So we're just really trying to get them to encourage them to book a call, schedule a demo, or buy one of our products. Also being able to answer any of their questions, qualify them a little bit further, because we really don't want any lead that we are collecting to slip away. So for us in our company, we're running ads for ourselves. We have an opt-in funnel. As soon as somebody gives us their information, we want to be able to call them and make sure they're not going to slip away, only if they do not book a call. If they do book a call, then yeah, we could still call them, qualify them, nurture them a little bit further, but we're really only focusing on the people who have dropped out of the sequence somewhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in our name. We're going to input our phone number, email, and we'll just say, I need AI solutions, and we'll just fill in the rest of the information. So we'll click submit, and in a second, we should be getting a call. So I'll let you guys see it for yourself. So we're getting a call from the AI agent. I don't know how well that focused in, but let's go ahead and answer this.
Hi, is this Nick?
Yeah, who is this?
Yeah, hi Nick. This is Ellie from SalesZone. I'm Nick's AI assistant and just saw you were checking out our client acquisition system. So I just wanted to reach out and see if you had any questions or were interested in possibly setting up a demo call.
I can't quite remember who you guys were. What services do you guys offer again?
Let me keep it quick. We help service-based businesses turn their inbound leads into booked sales calls using our proven AI system. That means no manual follow-up from your team, fewer no-shows, and more qualified appointments on your calendar. Just to check, what kind of business are you running?
Yeah, we run an AI agency.
Got it. And about how many leads are you currently generating every month?
Anywhere from 100 to 200.
Awesome. That's exactly the kind of business we're set up to help. To give you the quick rundown, we build AI sales systems that help businesses turn leads into booked calls without the manual follow-up or wasted hours on unqualified leads. Do you have a few minutes within the next couple of days to set up a demo call with Nick? He'll be able to walk you through exactly how we do this, how we've helped clients, and see if it's a fit. There's no commitment needed at all from you.
Okay, yeah, let's do, how about like Thursday afternoon maybe?
Do you have a specific time in mind on Thursday afternoon?
1 or 2 or 3 p.m.
This will just take a sec. It looks like Thursday afternoon at 1, 2, or 3 p.m. is not available. Would you like me to check other times on Thursday or another day that works for you?
Okay, so you guys get the idea. I'm not going to actually schedule an appointment with the assistant, but essentially it's just going to get my availability from the calendar, and then it's going to book something in, set up that meeting, send all the follow-up emails and text messages necessary to make sure that they actually show up to the appointment. If we do actually book the appointment, it'll just send us a confirmation message, and it'll actually send 2 more messages after that. But that's essentially what the system really looks like. Now, it could take a lot of different shapes and forms, so we could deploy this agent to be inbound. So if somebody's actually calling this number, we can have this AI answer the phone for us. Or if we want to deploy this on a website chat, if we want to deploy it over text message, it's still going to be the same conversational assistant. So to just dive into this a little bit further, let me show you guys what this structure really looks like. So we have a lead opting in. So whether this is from ads, landing pages, lead magnet, or whatever else, we are then going to call them as soon as they opt in and don't book a call. So whether this is 5 minutes later and they don't schedule a call, this is going to be the most common use case where we're deploying it across our clients' systems or just within within our own company. As I mentioned, we use this for our own ads funnel. We are going to attempt to call them. If they don't answer, we're going to leave a voicemail and then send them unlimited amounts of follow-ups. So we're going to send, 1 day later, we're going to try calling them again, send them a follow-up message, text or email. 5 days later, call them again, send them a text and email. 10 days later, follow-up message, text and email, and so on. So you guys get the idea with everything. So beyond this, let's go back up. And if they do answer the phone, obviously we're just going to qualify them, nurture them, answer any questions that they might have. Make sure that our salespeople, if we do book a call with them, they're not going to be dealing with any tire kickers or anything like that. People who are going to waste their time, who aren't genuinely interested in the services at all. We are going to make sure that they're qualified, book a demo. Once this happens, as I said earlier, we're going to send confirmation text messages. Upon confirmation of the meeting, we're going to send a confirmation a day before the appointment and the day of the appointment. So this is just going to reduce the no-shows. Lastly, if the lead answers and they don't book a call, the agent is going to determine the actions needed. Do we have to send additional information? Do we have to add them to a do not call registry? Or maybe they want to be contacted in 60 days and they just weren't ready now. So then our system's going to, or our agent, I should say, is going to mark down to later call them at a different date. Also, we have a feedback agent, which is going to determine what went wrong. And this is just used for self-improvement in the system. So for example, we could go into our front end. If we go back to, all time, we could see didn't book consultation, but let's actually go into one of the contacts. So we could actually see within this contact, the transcript does not provide enough information to determine why a meeting was not booked. Interaction is too brief and lacks context regarding the purpose of the call or any attempt to schedule a meeting. So it looks like this nothing even happened on this conversation. So we can see some insights into the conversations. We can hear and just check up what the audio actually sounded like, what each user was saying, how the flow of the conversation is going. So the CRM, we built it using Next.js. Essentially, it's just allowing us to get some deep analytical insights into what our agent is talking about and all that good stuff. So we could go back and view the past 30 days, all time, see how many meetings have been booked from this system, and so on. Let's go back to our structure. And that is really the last action that needs to take. Being able to call them, this is completely optional and not 100% needed. So instead, if somebody opts into our funnel and they don't book a call, we could either just, instead of sending them a phone call, we could send them a text message and we can send them an email if we would like, or a WhatsApp message. It really depends. And as I mentioned earlier, we are also deploying this on different platforms like WhatsApp, email, website, and so on. Also Facebook and Instagram. So if somebody sends a Facebook message, Instagram message, we need our agent to be conversational, answer their questions, ask them if they have any additional questions, any concerns, and encourage them to book a call. So of course, if they send any messages back from one of our follow-up messages. So in the event, we leave them a call, they don't answer, and we send them the first follow message, something like this. Hey, it's Ellie from Sales Done. I just wanted to see if you had any questions or concerns. So if somebody texts back and they say, yeah, how much are your services? Well, we would just want our system to be conversational, respond back to them, and of course, encourage a call. It might depend on what we are trying to say. Maybe it'll respond with, we're not comfortable with giving out the price because it completely depends on the customer and the scope of the project. So we would be happy to go over the price on a call with Nick. Would you like to set something up? So we could get a response like that. But really, I'm just trying to convey that we have to implement a conversational agent on pretty much every platform if we're going to be inputting it on phone. Beyond this, let's just go into what it actually looks like with and without AI in the sales process and why we are actually focusing on this product more than any other AI automation that we have and have been implementing. So the past couple of months, we've really been focusing on this being, like a flagship product of ours. So if you actually go into our website, so I'll pull it up right now. On our website, we do offer to deploy different agents, but if you can see right here, we are trying to, get people to focus more on our sales system because, one, it delivers direct revenue to our clients. We've seen way better results than anything else we have produced, and it's a quick turnaround for us to build it out as opposed to anything else. It has become a flagship product of ours, and we are really trying to focus on productizing this as much as possible because we do really believe in the system that we have built, and we are scaling this, pretty much to the moon, building a SaaS out of this and so on. So pretty excited to share what is going to come from that. But in any case, let me show you guys how you can build this for yourself and what we have actually put together here. Let's close this out and let's go over what this looks like with and without AI in your sales process to kind of further back why we're using this as our flagship product nowadays. So let's go over without AI in the sales process. So first off, we have a lead opting into the funnel. Now, if you have ran any sort of campaigns for yourself where you have a simple landing page or maybe a VSL, most often you're going to see around an 80 to 90% of these leads just not reaching the end end goal. So the end goal is typically getting them to buy a service or getting them to schedule an appointment or a demo call. If it happens that 80 to 90% of these leads don't reach the end goal, well, we're probably wants to reach out to these leads and send them follow-ups. However, most of the leads who do not reach the end goal, they are not contacted effectively. And this is what we found from a majority of the companies that we have been working with. It's either that they're not being followed up with as much as they should be, or just not followed up with at all, which is obviously super detrimental to any company because you're just not capitalizing on the leads that you're paying for and really earning. Now, moving on, for the small percentage of leads that do actually book a call are usually unqualified and they still have questions. So you're still going to experience a lot of time being wasted on these calls. You're going to experience burnout because your employees have to actually deal with all these tire kickers who are unqualified, not interested in your services, and really might just want to talk. You're also going to see money wasted on ads, lower show up rate, and high sales costs. Now, what we set out to fix was pretty much all of this. So let's just go over what it looks like with AI in your sales process and further back why we are using this as our flagship again. So a lead opts into the funnel. Again, 80 to 90% of these leads don't reach the end goal. So what we have here is an AI appointment setter that's going to call, text, and email your leads that do not reach the end goal. And we're just going to ask them if they have any questions and if they would like to book a call. Well, if they don't answer, the system is going to leave a voicemail, follow up with them unlimited amount of times until they either opt out of the campaign or until they reach the desired end goal. And of course, the desired end goal here is similar to before, where it's either buying the product or scheduling the appointment and demo. Now with this, you are guaranteed to see more appointments on the calendar. Every lead being booked is red hot qualified because we're only asking these qualification questions. So if you remember from the demo earlier, we're asking those questions like, how many leads are you supporting per month? And what does your business do? You know, maybe you don't want to work with AI agencies, and maybe you don't want to work with people with under 100 leads per month. That's what we do in particular. So in that case, we're only going to qualify and schedule that appointment with the people who have over 100 leads per month. On top of this, we're going to have less burnout from your employees because they don't have to deal with all these angry callers, you know, the people who just tries to opt into the campaign. You want to just nurture them a little bit. You don't have to have your callers. You don't have to have your sales team actually call these people and deal with anyone who's pissed off or just, you know, a tire kicker ultimately. And beyond this, we're also saving each company by employing just one AI system that scales with you. So let's say you're trying to get to 1 million per month. If you're currently at 100K per month, usually you're going to have to hire 10 SDRs, 10 appointment setters, whatever. Instead, you just implement one AI system and it's going to grow with you. So if you want to implement more agents, it's pretty easy to add on different ones if you guys expand your services, whatever it may be. So you're going to be saving yourself a bunch of time, making sure that your employees don't give up and burn out, and so much more. So on average, some of the results that we see is over a 20% increase in response rate, a 50 to 300% increase in appointments booked, a 40% plus increase in show up rate, and over a 50% increase in return on ad spend. And of course, we've overall seen increases in revenue growth if we, combine all of these different things. So generally, we have seen the best results generated from implementing the system across the dozens of companies that we have already worked with. Generally, they're mostly service-based businesses, but we do work with a handful of other people, whatever company or industry that may take form in. That's really why we've been focusing on this so much within the past couple months. And before I actually get into the build, I just wanted to mention that if you are a business owner and if you are looking to implement a similar system just like this to turn your leads into more booked appointments, just like we have done with dozens of other companies, then I implore you to check out the link down below in the description where you could book a call with us where we will determine if it'd be a fit to work together or not. It is completely free and requires little to no effort from you. But if you're looking to learn how to build and sell these systems for yourself, then go ahead and check out my community. Link is also down below in the description. So anyways, guys, that is enough talking about the system and what it does. Now I want to show you guys how you can actually build this out and give you a quick tutorial of the system. We are not going to be diving into every single system because if we open this up, we can see that it is pretty comprehensive. It would probably take me 4 hours to go over every single thing. It would take me a while to actually plan a good time to record a video like that. But in any case, if you are looking to get the system and license it, we are releasing it within our community. So just drop in the comments if you are interested in something like that. And we will be releasing this license where you can just use this for yourself and easily implement it into different companies. So if you don't want to wait for that video, well, we are going to be releasing the license to actually sell this to different business owners within the next next month or so. So if you are interested in that, unfortunately, we are not offering this license right now, but I just want to let you know that it will be available in the near future. So if you'd like to sell this to different business owners and, make a business around building this out and implementing it into other people, essentially like a white label. So let's first go over the first one, which is going to be using VAPI. If you're not familiar with VAPI, this is going to be the telephony system we're going to be using to actually call the leads. So arguably one of the more important parts and aspects of this build. So right here, we already have our system built out. So we have the prompt, and this is exactly the demo that I gave you guys earlier. So let's first start off with what we have up at the top. We have the cost associated and the latency. So latency, this is around 700 milliseconds. So this isn't bad. We can have it go up if we're going to be using better models, and we can even decrease it if we use, poorer models. So like 4.1 nano, this is the fastest and the cheapest. 4.1 mini, this will be around 750. You'll have to check out what the price is we'll associate. So you can see right here, this costs us about 1 cent to use per minute, which is nothing too crazy. But if we go down within the models, it does get more expensive. So like 4 cents, 29 cents, and so on. If you're going to use something like O1 cluster, this is going to take 7,000 milliseconds, and it's going to be pretty expensive. I don't know why you would ever want to use a reasoning model. Maybe if you have super quick conversations and you really just need to talk to something that's going to be pretty smart, perhaps. Well, beyond that, you can see different costs associated. VAPI fixed cost, it's always going to be 5 cents. We have the deepgram, which is just going to be the translation essentially. So it's going to do some natural language for you. Of course, the LLM costs and VAPI voice costs. So we have the different voices. Here's the VAPI one. Here's 11 Labs. I probably would recommend using between VAPI and 11 Labs. Those two have the most proficient voices, I would say. 11 Labs has the most expansive voice library. You could also look at using something like Sesame. Sesame is a very good platform for finding realistic voices as well. Beyond this, what we have is our first message and the prompt. So the first message, we're going to keep this pretty simple. We're just going to ask, who is this that we're speaking with? Typically, we should have their name already. So if they filled out a form, like I showed you earlier, we're just using a simple Go High Level form. Feel free to use whichever you would like. We're just going to use the Go High Level and ask them for some specific things like the name, phone number, email, the AI agent you would like to discuss, and so on. Within this, we could just include the full name as one of the variables. So saying like, hey, is this Nick Peruski? Here is where things get pretty complex. We have our assistant prompt. Within here, I like to always start off with the first thing being the current date and time. So this really allows us if we are perhaps scheduling things in a calendar, or if we are getting the availability. We want to have access to the time, because if somebody says, hey, do you have any availability for next week? You want to make sure that you're scheduling it for the proper week, the proper day, the right year, of course. And where we get this variable from is actually N8N in the back end. And I'll show you that in a few once we get through this prompt. So typically VAPI prompts or voice prompts in general, they follow a specific structure. It's pretty similar to any LLM. If you've used ChatGPT before, and if you're watching this video, you most likely have. So we're giving it pretty much an identity. So we're saying, your name is Ryan from Sales Done. Here's your job. Here's what I'd like you to do. Here's some of the functions that I would like you to perform, like getting availability, booking the time. Now, we're not going to dive into everything specifically. I'll dive into a lot of what we have within this prompt and kind of like the meat of everything. But if you would like to deploy your own prompts, I highly recommend you go check out my custom GPT. So I'll have this in my community. So go check that out. Link is down below in the description. All you would have to do is you would just click on this button. It'll ask you some information like, what is your assistant's name? What is your company name? What is the assistant's main goal? What should the assistant not do? And so on. So it'll ask you these questions and just keep going down the list of collecting information from you. Or you can just provide it with a rough idea of what you want and everything, and it'll, perfect a prompt for you. So I highly recommend to use this if you haven't built out prompts before, or you could just build it out custom and learn everything yourself. In our particular use case, we want to be asking this user if they have any questions, if we can answer any concerns that they might have, and encourage them to book a call. So we're just going to fit the suit that the demo was that I was showing you earlier. So what we say at the beginning is just some intent response flow for the AI agent. So this first one is just going to be following up with the lead and confirming the contact. So in this prompt, we say, hi, is this name? So we include the variable. If you want to include variables yourself, just do double curly brackets on either side. Well, actually, we just write out responses is based on the user. If they say yes, then proceed to the introduction. If they say no or are unsure, we would like you to say, sorry about that. Your number was entered into our system recently. Did you happen to check out a sales system from sales done within the past day or so. So just keep in mind, everything is obviously going to be very custom to your own company and what you need. Not everything is going to be copy and paste. Literally every different client that we've worked with, we spend an extensive amount of time working on the prompt. So I would just like you to keep that in mind. And this is only going to get you so far if you do want to copy what I have written here. More or less, you just want to really adhere to the sort of structure where you're going to be inputting the qualification questions that you want to ask, inputting the introductions and its purpose. As long as you are very specific about everything to the agent, then you're going to be fine. Now, what do I mean by that is if we go to number 2, we have the introduction and purpose. So we explain who we are and why we're calling. So for example, we say, yeah, hi, this is Ryan from Sales Done. I'm Nick's AI assistant, and I just saw you were checking out our client acquisition system. So I just wanted to reach out and see if you had any questions or if you were interested in possibly setting up a demo call. Now, what I meant by specific instructions for our agent is we say possible responses and next steps to this is they say yes or are interested. I would like you to go to qualifying question 1. If they are unsure, hesitant, they say like, what is this again? How did you get my information? Or just what? I would like you to go to explain further. If they express 0 interest, then goes to polite exit. From here, here's the follow-up if they're hesitant. So this would be referring to where would this be at? The follow-up explain further. So that would be right here. So the prompt is if they ask something more specific, like what system or where did you get my info? Or if they're confused, like, I don't know what you're talking about, then proceed to number 1. Otherwise, proceed to number 2. Number 1 being you entered into our system on our site through one of our campaigns, mentioning how to use AI to increase your sales. To give you just a quick rundown, we help teams that are already getting qualified leads or already getting leads, but are stuck doing manual follow-up, dealing with no-shows or wasting time with unqualified prospects. Our AI system automates all that and turns your leads into booked sales calls. We mentioned to use casual language before the sentence if necessary, and it depends on the user input. It's a pretty extensive prompt and we go on for quite some time, so I'm not going to go over everything. Feel free to pause the video and, kind of see what I am using. But if you do need help implementing all of this, then again, go to use my custom GPT assistant. It's going to do wonders for you and actually allow you to build perfect prompts because we do give the agent referenced prompts, solid instructions that it needs to be using. So it'll give you something like this. So if we go down, we could see here that we're mentioning to ask qualifying questions. Here's qualifying question 1. We say, if you don't mind me asking, what does your business do exactly? We mention that there could be a couple different responses that they say back. Next up, we want to ask the second qualifying question, like how many leads are you currently generating every month? If under 100, they are not qualified. Over 100, I want you to pitch the booking. That leads us to number 6, which is the book call pitching. So we just described the intent name as pitch booking, which we reference right here. So the prompt is going to be awesome. That's exactly the kind of business we are set up to help. So if they do have over 100 leads, it's going to say this. If they don't, it's going to go into something else. To give you the quick rundown, we build AI sales systems that help businesses turn leads into booked sales calls without the manual follow-up or wasted hours on unqualified leads. Do you have a few minutes within the next couple of days? And we say some other things after that. Next step, if they say yes, confirm the time that they want. If they're unsure, reassure, then confirm, which I'll get into in a second. If no, then go to polite exit. So if they are unsure about anything, we go to this step right here because typically we have a lot of people who are unsure about booking a call. And this is actually where things can get pretty messy and where you'll have to spend a lot of time prompting. So we say, totally get it. Just so you know, it's not a sales pitch, just a short strategy session to go over your setup and what's working. Want to pencil in a time and decide after that. So we are still being pretty pushy and, perhaps there's still different ways to go about this, but, we're testing with the data, not with our gut instincts. Number 8, we have booking confirmation. We're just going to set up that appointment. We go on even further. So if you want to collect things like email, we include different things like how to actually spell this out. Again, if you want to do something like this, it's in this custom GPT about how to spell things out. Just ask your user or ask the GPT assistant how to actually go about that process and it'll help you out. So we go down even further and we have the functions. So we have 2 different ones, getting availability and booking a time. So let's talk about that a little bit. If we go into our tools right here, we can see that we just hooked up 2 different ones. So how we actually do this is if we go to our tools section, all we did was just create a brand new tool and we go to function. Within the first one, we just set up booking time. So just give it a random name, give it a brief description and include the parameters that you want. So if you're going to be scheduling a call, well, what are some of the things that you want? Well, you should probably include the full name, the user's email, the date that they would like, and the time that they would like. So how you actually do that is if you go to property and you go to the name, just type out like full name, and that's literally it. You don't have to do anything else. So we just do that for a few other parameters. Now, the other thing we will have to add is a webhook. So if we go into N8N, which is the backend we are using, as I mentioned earlier, if I go to the book calendar, we have a pretty long workflow right here, nothing too crazy. But what we start off with is a webhook. How you can actually do that, if you just go to webhook, click on the first one, and if you open this up, what I would do at the beginning if I were you, I would include the test URL instead of the production URL. So make sure to select the HTTP method as post because we aren't retrieving any data, we're posting data into Vapi. If I were you, I would test this out. Now, the discrepancies between test and production, if this is running automatically and you're not testing anything manually, that's when you use the production. If you want to test things, obviously use the test endpoint. Now, we also use the respond right here using respond to webhook node. And that is only if we use a respond to webhook node right here. That should be self-explanatory. And if you're not, then it'll say it within an error in N8N. Moving on. So what we do is we just take this webhook and we just put it into VAPI. Pretty simple. And we're going to do the same exact thing for getting availability. So we're going to create a different workflow, set that up, and create another webhook. Similarly, grab your test URL. Later, you will switch it to production once it is all good to go. We're going to grab it and just paste it down here. That is the only thing you have to do to set up these functions. It's super simple. The hard part, or harder part, I should say, because it's not too crazy, is actually setting up the logic of everything and setting up the system within N8N. So we have the book calendar now. We have the get availability webhook set up. So let's focus on getting our availability. So we could see here, we already have some data pinned. So this is from earlier. We can see the conversation from earlier, going over like what they talked about. What we want to do from here is just get the date and time. So all we do is just get the current date, get the current time and everything. And we pass this into the AI agent. So within here, we say, here's the requested date and here's the requested time. Here's the working hours, 9 to 5. Here's the buffer time to schedule meetings and everything, or getting availability every 15 minutes. And the duration of each slot should be 30 minutes. Beyond that, we say, check if the requested time is available for the requested date. If available, confirm the booking and inform the AI. If unavailable due to conflict, suggest up to 3 closest available slots while ensuring buffer time. If no slots are available on that date, just find the next available weekday and provide alternative slots. Here's some output requirements. If the requested time is available, just confirm it. Only if unavailable, suggest up to 3 alternative slots. Within this, we just give it access to my calendar. So we give it access to Google. How we actually do this is we just hook up our Google Calendar. So just connect your credentials and you can just choose this button right here. So the start time, we're actually just letting the model define this parameter. And we're doing the same for the end time. And we select the time zone. So you will have to add an option. Select the time zone as Eastern, or I guess whatever time zone you are in, obviously. We are also including a getting events. So we do return all. We select after and before. Again, we're just selecting our calendar and then returning this information back to our webhook. Next up, what we have is the booking of the calendar. So within this, we're similarly doing the date and time. Within here, we're just going to say, I need you to book the user specified, or book the user specified using the calendar tool and provide it. So we provide it with information from the webhook. So this is going to be what the user actually said, or the date that they request. So this was April 18th, 2025 at 10 a.m. And how we actually got that is if you go to the webhook, if we scroll down, let's actually try searching it. So I believe it would be somewhere down here. It's a pretty long list. So I don't want to actually pull it or look all day for it. That's the expression that we're actually copying, putting that in there. And then we say the meeting will last a duration of only 30 minutes. Beyond this, we just give a system message of configure the output to have the following structures: success message and confirmed meeting date and time. Here's an example. The meeting has been successfully scheduled for March 17th, 2025 from 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. From here, we're connecting this to the Google Calendar to actually create an event. And we just provide it with an expression or a mapping of the meeting attendees. Either you could type it out or you could just let the model define it. Also, we're giving a summary, and this is just going to be like the title of the event. Once that's scheduled, we're just going to respond to the webhook and we're going to give it this expression. So saying, here's the results, here is the date and the meeting, and it's going to return that. It's basically just giving our voice agent a successful return. And that's how our system knows whether it worked or not. Then we just use an edit fields to set some of the nodes because we want to update this within Go High Level. And of course, input this within our Supabase. So I'm not going to dive into all of that because the CRM that you guys in particular, it's going to be different. You might not be using Go High Level. You'll probably be using something else. So I'm not going to reveal that within this video. So that's what it looks like to book a calendar event and also how to get availability. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this out and that will be it essentially. So within here, if we go back to our system or our VAPI prompt, we just want to define the function. So we say getting availability. This is to check appointments availability via N8N webhook to Google Calendar. Booking time. This is just to book appointments via N8N webhook to Google Calendar. So like I said earlier, just be super specific about everything that you want your agent to do and every action that you want it to take, and you'll be fine. We also say at the end, you have access to a knowledge base of information on the company containing what we do, who we help, results we've generated. So if anybody asks questions related to that, use the sales done knowledge base PDF that you're given access to answer them. So you can see right here, we just provide it with a file called sales done knowledge base. how to actually add one. It's super simple. You just go to add new file and it'll pull up your files and you could just give it a document. So for us, we just have, this is all dummy data of who we help and what we do of our company, but we don't actually use it. So if we go back to VAPI, that will be pretty much everything, I believe. We could go over the voice configurations and everything. If you're using VAPI, you're not able to change any of the different functions, how fast you want it to talk, anything like that. You can include voicemails. So if you go to, I believe it would be advanced. So you can go to voicemail detection and I think it would be messaging. Somewhere within here, you can actually include voicemails. So the voicemail message is just, please just call me back when you're available. So I'll allow you guys to tell you that yourself, but essentially that's what it looks like to set up VAPI. Now, of course, you will want to deploy this with a number. So if you want to actually be able to call people and handle inbound calls, you're gonna have to set up a number. So I will show you guys that pretty quickly. And I'll also show you guys how to actually call people who are filling out your forms in a second. So first, let's just focus on getting a number. You can use something like Telnix, or you could use something like Twilio. Those are probably gonna be the most common examples of different phone numbers and being able to implement phone numbers. So we have, if you have your own phone number and you just like to use trunking and SIP, essentially just importing a number that you already have, or you can just go with buying a number on Twilio or Telnix. So if we go to Telnix, let's log in really quick. So let's say we want to use Twilio. What we can do is we can go to Twilio, we'll go to phone numbers, go to manage, go to buy a number, and you can just hook up any number that you would like, buy it within an area code that you prefer. So you could do something like this, or if you like, you could go to Telnix. I would probably recommend using Telnix instead. If we could actually type it out properly, I would probably recommend Telnix because it's going to be cheaper and you don't have to actually verify all your numbers, which can take some time within Twilio. So yeah, do whichever one is going to be better for you. And then from there, you're just going to have to import the number. So input your account SID. So within Twilio, if you just go into your account settings, you can get your account SID and your auth token, and then just input your phone number. So you can use different country codes, you can use different local codes, you can use toll-free numbers or local numbers, whatever. You can get pretty customizable with them, for lack of better terms. Now, the last thing I want to cover is being able to call people. So like I showed you earlier, our particular use case is we had a form set up. So if you want to set up a form, we just use Go High Level. For instance, if we have a client who has a funnel where somebody has to fill out a form to be able to get a free lead magnet or get something else, whatever it may be, a discount would be another option. We want to actually be able to call people. So this isn't going to be inbound calling, it's going to be outbound, which we do set up both inbound and outbound calling. Let's focus on the outbound first. Within the outbound, what we did is we connected a webhook to Go High Level. We just created a brand new webhook right here. And every time somebody submitted our Go High Level form, we set up an automation in Go High Level to trigger this webhook. So usually we want to wait 5 minutes and check if they booked a call. If they didn't book a call, that's when we're actually going to be calling them saying like, hey, saw you filled out our form, didn't book a call, but you're interested in our services because you opted in. In any case, we set up an HTTP request, which is going to make an API call to this VAPI system that we just set up. So as you can see here, we have this entire prompt and everything. We have this VAPI agent that's pretty much good to go, whether it's for inbound or outbound. So we have this VAPI agent ready to go, ready for outbound calling. If you want to set up something inbound, what I would do is just duplicate what you have set up, change the introduction because it's just going to be a little bit different. Instead of saying like, hey, is this Nick? You're not going to have their information, obviously. So what we do is we set up a post request. We use the endpoints of api.vapi.api or AI/call. From here, we're just inputting our API key. We then input our assistant ID and we input our phone number ID. Beyond that, we're also inputting a full name, email, date, phone number, and agent information. So we are actually getting this from the webhook. So the webhook is getting the information from Go High Level, the form. So the name, phone number, email, all that stuff. It's now being inputted into this webhook right here. So it looks like we don't have anything actually filled in here, perhaps, which is strange. Oh no, we do actually. So what we do is we're just taking that information and giving it to our VAPI system saying like, hey, here's the name of this guy. Here's their email. Here's the date or we're just giving it the current date. Here's their phone number that you need to be calling. How you could actually get your assistant ID and your phone number ID. So if you go into VAPI, pretty simple for the assistant ID. It's just right up here. Copy that. For your phone number ID, just go down here and you can copy this number. You'll then just want to paste that in here. And to actually get this entire JSON expression, what I typically do is I go to, I already have it built out for myself. So from now on, I just copy and paste it. What I do is I go to VAPI API documentation. And if you dive into it within here, if you go to docs, and if you just go to API endpoints, filter to post, so like creating workflow, calling assistants and everything, create call, you could just copy it yourself. Yeah, this is really all you would have to do. Or you could just pause the video and really just copy whatever I have inputted right here for yourself. So feel free to do that as well. So this is just going to be initiating the call. Next up, we want to do is we just want to get the status of each one. So we're going to get the JSON from the previous call, or the ID rather. So we just map up JSON.id. We're doing, I believe, pretty much the same API endpoints, but we're going to be leaving everything else alone. So we're getting the status. So we're going to be checking if the call ended or not. If it's not ended, we're just going to keep waiting, keep getting the status, because we need to find out when it is actually over. So when it is over, it's going to go down this route right here. It'll grab the proper status. It'll just say something like finished, and then it'll output all these different things. So the response, the ended reason, the go high level contact ID, and the transcript recording. So the transcript recording obviously is just allowing us to listen later on to the audio of the call. Here we have the go high level contact ID. This isn't hugely important because it's very particular and relevant to our CRM. We have the ended reason and the response. So from here, we're actually taking all of this and we're going down the route of the lead declined the call, or they did not answer, or if the lead answered. If they didn't answer, we're going to go down the route of booked consultation or didn't book a consultation. So we're using a sentiment analysis agent to determine whether or not they booked a call or if they didn't. If they didn't book a call, we're using the feedback agent and the analyze actions needed agent. So from here, this is what I was referencing earlier, where the agent determines the actions needed. Like, do we need to send them additional information? Do we need to add them to a do not call registry? We also want to use the feedback agent to determine what went wrong. Why didn't they book a call if they picked up the phone? So we're just, analyzing the transcript and everything. From here, it's just inputting everything into Supabase. So storing the call transcript, updating the stages and everything. So this part is going to be a lot more complex. It took us a while to actually put together Supabase function, or I should say we're storing the memory of literally every single interaction. So every text message, every phone call and all that. It's just going to go down that route within Supabase, say like, hey, they did book the consultation. Now, if they don't book a call, or if they did not answer, I should say, it's going to go down the route and update the opportunity to no reply follow-up 1. And this is just going to trigger a follow-up sequence. So saying like, hey, saw you were interested in our client acquisition system, but you didn't book a call. Just wanted to see if you had any questions or concerns. And from here, it's just going to update that into Supabase. And then a few days later, it's going to send off different follow-up messages saying like, hey, just want to follow up again, stuff like that. So we are using Go High Level for a few of the automations. We are eventually going to move away from that. We're looking to build a SaaS platform where it's going to be completely do it yourself, and you can build these agents simply and a plethora of other things. So being able to build WhatsApp agents and everything else. That's mostly what this outreach system looks like. And again, I can understand it might be pretty confusing to follow along, but in the future, we are going to be releasing the license to use this system. For the time being, we don't have any of the templates available for this particular system, unfortunately. Either if you would like to use it, then unfortunately you do have to sign up for our service, or just wait for the licensing. So moving on, we also have let me show you guys what the inbound actually looks like, or I believe it would be chatbot. So this one is Facebook, Instagram, email, and text. And then we also have a chatbot for the website. So these are two different ones. So like I mentioned earlier, if we send a follow-up message, we want to be able to respond to it. Or if they send a reply back to our follow-up message, we want to be able to send a message back to them. So that's where this comes into place, and where we're going to actually be using memory to respond back to a user message. So if somebody says in one message, hey, I'm interested in your 5K service, and then, a month later, they say, hey, can we schedule a call? Maybe a text message will say back, yeah, are you still interested in that 5K service of ours? So it's going to leverage the memory. Within Supabase, as I mentioned earlier, we have every interaction stored, every single interaction possible, so that later we can actually reference that and create personalized responses and personalized messages. So that's what it kind of looks like right here, where we are just using a chatbot. So we use a webhook and creating the responses within here. So we just say, you're a bot. Here's some of the messages I would like you to respond to. So you can see how expansive this actually is. And this is for a actual client. So I don't want to release any of the specific information or release anything too confidential. Like I mentioned, perhaps in the future, I'll upload a 4-hour video going over this entire build. But for the time being, this is all we are willing to offer you guys. But yeah, that is a majority of what the system really looks like. We have a lot of different things within the system. So we have tracking availability, booking calls. We have our inbound phone agent. We have the web chat, storing everything into Supabase, canceling appointments, updating appointments. We have the follow-up messages. So if we do send a follow-up message, we want to update that within Supabase. It's very comprehensive. We have the do not contact. So if they mention that they don't want to be contacted ever again, we have to update that within Go High Level, change the opportunity. So there's a lot that goes on within the system. And like I mentioned, don't unfortunately offer license or templates for this specific build, but in the near future, I would say within the next month, we are going to be releasing the license for this entire system. So if you do want to sell it to other businesses, then it would be a lot easier for you to do so instead of just, building something like this. And yeah, I mean, you guys could build something out within Go High Level, build out your own inbound and outbound agent because they are releasing that very soon. But I would argue those agents, they're not as comprehensive as this. They can't look at previous messages and create personalized responses. I just don't think it'll get as competitive as what we have built here, be able to generate the results that we have seen so far. Because I've been seeing a lot of people building out different AI appointment setters, but they're all just Go High Level shells and, just a glimpse and a fraction of what we actually have built out here. So yeah, if you guys would like to get started on something like this, I want to try to walk you through a lot of what it actually looks like within the beginning sequences. So setting up that outbound chatbot, setting up that inbound chatbot or phone agent as well. Now within the front end, this is completely separate. We actually used Next.js to build this out, and we're using this and connecting it to our Supabase. So Supabase is being used for our memory and storing every single interaction and outcome and status. And this is just a visual representation of that. So each client is going to get their own system, or get their own account, I should say, and they can view its performance. So we can see here, we could listen to the phone calls. We can see the status of this specific one. We can see here, here's another phone call. Yeah, we could go to previous conversations and everything. So if we open up this one, and of course it's still a work in progress, so not everything is completely perfect right now, but yeah, this is really what we are working with. But yeah, guys, so all in all, this is over a $10,000 sales system, and you can really charge as much as you would like, because if you're going to be booking more appointments for your leads and for your clients, it's going to be very worth their time and investment. So anything upwards of $20,000, depending on what a deal is worth to your clients, definitely within reason for something like this. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a more in-depth analysis of what it actually looks like, even though I'm not showing you guys a step-by-step, because it's very monotonous and very tedious to put together everything step-by-step and giving you guys a tutorial and all of that. So perhaps I'll do that in the future. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. But yeah, in any case, if you are a business owner looking to implement a system just like this into your own company, you don't want to do it yourself, then check out the link down below in the description. You can set up a completely free discovery call. We require nothing of you guys except for your email to book a call. We require absolutely nothing from you. We just do ask that you show up to the call on time and be prepared to answer any questions to ensure that it would be a right fit, that we do work together. So if you are interested in increasing the amount of booked calls from the leads that you are already generating, then go ahead, check that out. And if you are interested in learning how to build a system like this, then check out the community down below in the description, because I will be announcing the license for the system within there very soon. Yeah, guys, let me know what you guys thought. In any case, thank you guys for watching this video. This has been a pretty long one and a lot more raw, I would say, than my previous videos where it's, usually quick hitting and everything. But if you guys do enjoy content like this, please let me know down below. Drop a like, please subscribe. It really helps out my channel. And of course, drop a comment. Let me know what you thought. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching and for sticking this far, and I'll see you in the next video.